Welcome to Untold Lores. Its face was already turned toward me, part 2 of 4. I want to tell you that I ran. I want to tell you that I grabbed my keys and my phone, and I was out the front door, and down the stairs and on the street in under 30 seconds, and I never went back. That would have been the right thing to do. That would have been the sensible thing. But what happened instead is that my body stopped working. That is the thing no one tells you about genuine terror. It is not a feeling that moves you. It is a feeling that removes you from your own limbs. I stood in my bedroom doorway and I could not take a single step backward. My hands were shaking so hard I could hear my own knuckles trembling. My throat had closed. The cold in the hallway moved against my face like breath from an open freezer held close. And I stood there and I looked at what was standing inside that storage room. It was tall, taller than the doorframe should have allowed, and yet it stood inside the threshold without stooping, as though the geometry of the space had simply accommodated it. Its skin, if you could still call it skin, was the gray, white of old ash, pulled too tight across the structure beneath it, cracked along the cheekbones and jaw the way old porcelain cracks when the heat gets into it, thin dark lines spreading from each fracture like veins of ink pressed under glass. And beneath that skin, or what remained of it, you could see them, actual veins, dark and branching, visible through the translucent flesh of its throat and its temples and its hands, as though the body had become a map of everything wrong inside it. Its hands were at its sides, long, the fingers too long, each one with one joint too many, bent at angles that did not correspond to any knuckle a human hand possesses. They were not moving. They were simply hanging there, and the stillness of them was somehow the most frightening thing. The way a held breath is more frightening than a scream. I could not see its eyes. Not because it was facing away from me. It was not facing away from me. It was facing directly toward me, had been from the moment I woke, and where its eyes should have been there were only sockets. Deep hollow, dark as the room behind it, no reflection, no white, no iris. Just two holes in that cracked gray face that opened onto nothing. The moonlight that cut through the hallway window fell across its shoulders and its jaw but did not illuminate those sockets. The dark inside them seemed to hold. It did not. For how long I cannot tell you. Time was not functioning correctly. I know my back was wet with sweat. I know my jaw was shaking. I know I had bitten the inside of my cheek without realizing it, and the copper taste of blood was sitting on the back of my tongue. I stood in that doorway, and it stood in that threshold, and neither of us moved, and the cold between us was so dense and so complete that I could no longer feel my feet. And then it made a sound. It was the sound from behind the door, the one I had heard on my hands and knees in the hallway 3 nights earlier. The wet, slow inhalation through something that was no longer shaped correctly. But this time it was not muffled by wood. This time it was open. This time I heard the full shape of it. The way it caught and pulled, the way it ended on a low resonance that I felt in my back teeth and in the center of my chest rather than through my ears, a frequency that seemed to bypass hearing entirely and simply install itself in my body. My legs buckled. I caught myself on the door frame. My vision went white at the edges. It took 1 step forward. 1 step. From inside the storage room to the hallway threshold, the full length of its leg covering a distance that should have required 2 strides. It did not walk so much as extend, as though its limbs simply reached forward and the rest of it followed, pulled along behind like something being dragged through water. The foot that met the hallway floor made no sound. No impact, no creak of floorboard, only silence, and the cold moving closer, and the dark of those eye sockets tilting very slightly as its head adjusted to keep whatever hollow attention it possessed aimed precisely at me. I slammed my bedroom door. I shoved the wardrobe against it. I sat on the floor between the wardrobe and the bed with my knees at my chest and my hands clamped over my mouth, and I did not make a sound for the rest of the night. Nothing tried to open the door. In the morning, when pale gray light finally filled the room and the cold had lifted and the apartment was quiet, I moved the wardrobe and I opened the bedroom door and I looked down the hallway. The storage room door was closed. The chair was back under its handle, placed there precisely, legs straight. On the wall beside the storage room door, written in something dark and dry that had not been there the night before, were 7 words I did not immediately understand. I stepped closer. I read them. I read them again. The words were in English, in handwriting I recognized as my own. The words said, "Wo you ask I to come in," and I did not remember writing them. But somewhere deeper than memory, in a place I had not known existed inside me until that moment, I knew they were true. That's it for part 2. Follow Untold Lores for part 3. Like and subscribe for daily stories.